Representatives from 90 countries and organizations will participate in the one-day donors conference. The Palestinian Authority is hoping to secure $5.6 billion in aid for the next 3 years. 70% of that will go towards reducing the government's budget deficit. The remainder will go into development projects. Now, since 1994, nearly $10 billion in international aid has been pledged to the Palestinian Authority, but more than half the population are still living in poverty. Al Jazeera's Ayman Mohyeldin looks at where the money has gone.
With promises of money and development from the world's rich, life in the occupied West Bank and Gaza was supposed to get better. But in the world of global politics, money pledged is not always money delivered, and money delivered does not always mean an improvement on the ground.
Usually there is a gap between the pledges and the disbursement, and that gap goes actually by like 40%. It didn't ever happen that whatever was pledged was actually ever dispersed.
Much of the money that did come was used to build Palestinian government institutions, security forces, and to develop key industries. But as the peace process began to unravel and violence escalated, the economy collapsed.
The Israeli siege has deepened the economic crisis of the Palestinian Authority, and to the extent that money was channeled from projects to budget support, i.e. to salaries and operating expenses and so on.
Following the siege, donors stepped in and pledged more money, but that money was used to offset a humanitarian crisis, not to develop the economy. In 2006, amid widespread public allegations of corruption and mismanagement of funds by Palestinian political parties, the Palestinians went to the polls. They elected Hamas and soon learned that their democratic choice came with a heavy price tag. Overnight, hundreds of millions of dollars pledged to the government and development projects were suspended. Hamas was financially isolated by international donors. Ironically, the Islamic group that ran on the platform of reforming how money in the Fatah-dominated Palestinian Authority was controlled and used found itself cut off from that very same money.
Since the Hamas election back in January 2006, what we've seen is an unraveling of the benefits of previous development aid. We've seen lots of investment going into building Palestinian institutions, developing the foundations of a Palestinian state. We've seen a lot of that lost in the last couple of years.
As it has since the beginning of the peace process, Israel's occupation remains a stranglehold on the Palestinian economy. The wall that Israel has built behind me has restricted the movement of people and goods to a trickle, essentially cutting off Palestinian cities from each other. And despite pledges by the international community to give the Palestinian economy a lifeline, if Israel wants, it can tighten its grip at any time and choke it off.